Tesseraction Theater, the world's only live animation theater, invites you to our production of George Bernard Shaw's classic Pygmalion, available on Facebook Live April 19th and April 25th. Let's take a quick romp through the characters and the costumes of Tesseraction Theater's production of Pygmalion. We'll start with Eliza. The first couple of times we see her, she looks like just what she is, a flower girl from Lisson Grove. In the first scene, she's got, dirty hands and face because she's been working all day. But the next day when she comes to see Professor Higgins, she makes a couple of subtle changes. She, as she tells us, washes her face and as she does, but she also fixes her hair and sets that hat very jauntily on her head. Now, the very first thing that changes about Eliza is her clothes. Before we even get out of the second act, she's changed into a Japanese kimono, and even her dad doesn't recognize her. But soon enough, when she's talking a bit more carefully and comes to Mrs. Higgins at home, she's in quite a fashionable outfit. But then for the ambassador's garden party and ball, this is my favorite dress. She is completely decked out top to bottom. But we do finally see her in an outfit that she chose. And again, quite the fashionable costume for an afternoon, complete with hat and gloves. Next, let's talk about Henry. He, unlike the ladies, is not a terribly natty dresser. In fact, we see him 3 different times in essentially the same suit. In the first act, outside, he's got the suit on with a long tie and an overcoat. But when he goes to his mother's house, both times he goes to his mother's house, he wears essentially the same suit with a bow tie. The first time he puts on his jacket to go to her at-home day. But then when he comes back all agitated at the end looking for Eliza, he even forgets to put on his jacket, then comes in his shirt sleeves and vest. When he's home, he wears no cravat at all. He's got himself a black vest with his pocket watch and an open collar. But when he goes to the ambassador's garden party, he does dress up in his formal best. But what about Colonel Pickering? Now, he is the wealthiest person in this story, and you can tell by the way he dresses. We see him twice in his tuxedo, once in the first scene. Isn't that cape fabulous? And then again when he returns from the ambassador's garden party. We see him twice in a very nice daytime suit with a cutaway and a vest. But here's my favorite. When he dresses up to go to Mrs. Higgins at home, he puts on that wonderful white suit with the red vest and bow tie and the straw boater. He is a well-dressed gentleman. Now, Alfie Doolittle, I love him. At any rate, he is changed as much as Eliza is by his association with Henry. In fact, he goes from being a common dustman to, as he says himself, the middle class because of a joke of Henry's. And you can see quite clearly the change in his costuming. No dirty face, no rumpled clothes. He's all dressed up at the end for his wedding. And then we come to Mrs. Higgins, Henry's mom. In every way different from him. She is a lovely, gracious, kind, upper-class lady, and so very well dressed. In fact, she has some of the best clothes in the show. She is so well dressed, as you can see. At the end, she's able to get ready to go to a wedding by simply stepping out, putting on her hat, and picking up her parasol. We love Mrs. Higgins. And the Eynsford Hills, Freddie, Clara, and their mom. Don't you love the red hair? We see them twice. They're there in the first scene, coming out in the evening, in the rain. And then they return at Mrs. Higgins' at home. They are well-bred folks, but as their mother says, so very poor. So they dress carefully, but not all that well. And finally, the commoners. We have 4 of them. We have Mrs. Pierce, who was housekeeper to Henry Higgins and to half-time mummy, I think. We have the parlor maid who works for Mrs. Higgins. And then we have 2 Cockney bystanders in the first scene. And there you have it, the characters from Pygmalion, and we hope that you won't miss our production of it. Take a look for the Facebook event. Thank you.